So, I'm sick of Discogs and want to build an alternative. I will make several videos explaining why, but you already know why. A site like Discogs will never be good, since it doesn't have to. It has no competition. However, building a site like that is no easy task. Alexa is gone, but I found another site that ranks website called Blexb, and according to them, Discogs is in place 1439 among the world's largest website. I looked into the company behind Discogs called Sync Media LLC, but I could not find out much since they are a private USA-based company. Let's get to the how and why me. I have made several music sites since the year 2000, and my first one was a success in Sweden. It was called prog.se and only had a few hundred records. But at that time there was really no one else discographing Swedish prog records. I later followed up the success with Punktipset, focused on Swedish punk. After that I decided to make a database for all Swedish records, probably because I have Asperger's, but it seemed like fun. It was a behemoth of a task and it took so long and had so many bugs, so with time people lost interest. However, the project is still ongoing, but to build something that can compete with Discogs and perhaps replace it is not something I can do myself. I have gotten burned out twice in the process, but I feel like this is something that must be done for record collectors worldwide, because Discogs is not a good website anymore and they have no incentive to do better. So here's my plan. Building something from scratch would take 25 plus years, and most records are already documented around the internet. Asking users to manually enter every single record just won't do. So to start off we need a database. Discogs has around 19 million records, so to copy their database would be the best start, and it's not really their database. It was built by their user and consists of public records, but there are also many other databases of music out there. In Sweden, for example, we have state-owned SMDB, which have around 300,000 Swedish records, and is way more complete when it comes to Swedish music. And I'm sure most countries try and document and preserve their culture in similar ways. Spotify alone has around 10 million records, many not found or displayed on Discogs. So how do you copy a database? The most obvious way would be to use Discogs API. That's how websites talk to each other. It is limited to 60 calls per minute, so it would take around 220 days to copy all records, if that is even possible. The other way I could think of is web scraping. That's what search engines does to find every public website in the world. They download the full page, extract keywords, and then follow all links to proceed. However, running a large website is costly. Really, how much it costs is impossible to tell. That is why my initial plan is to make the website text-based. That does not mean images would not be featured. There will be images, but rather embedded from other sites like Discogs or Spotify. If the first step is successful, the plan is to host small images, thumbnails of all records, which are around 5 to 10 kilobytes per file. That would be around 270 gigabytes. It's not really about the file size, but rather millions of people viewing large images. That is what's really costly on a web server. If that is sustainable, the next part is social integration, comments, editing, and a marketplace. This is the most crucial part. Sellers must be willing to move the inventory, or the ship sinks. However, Discogs has made that pretty easy, since you can export your full inventory as a CVS file. So what would it cost to sell on this platform? It would be free. Most marketplaces are. However, they instead sell your data, and that is not an option. But the plan is still to keep it completely free. But Discogs charges a fee for a reason. It costs money to run a large website. There's also security, dealing with authorities, dealing with scammers, etc. My initial plan is to make it free, but it would calculate a voluntary fee for when you sell items. At start maybe 1% of the order value. And only people that use the site a lot and enjoy the service would pay, not because they have to, because they want to. If this works, we will keep it that way. If not, we will have to charge a 1% fee for all users. And if it's not sustainable, we would have to increase it. However, the plan is to keep the fee as low as possible and to be as transparent as possible. We won't be a non-profit company, but you would be able to get financial information like revenue, profit, investments, cost, and stuff like that easily every year. So here's the big question: will we force users to use PayPal? Well, personally, I would like to ban PayPal use from the site, since it's so horrible. But I understand it's still popular in some places like USA, and sometimes it's the only option. We will make sure the seller could offer any payment option they wish. And if you have ever bought something online, other than on Discogs, you will know most sites offer a variety of payment options in something called a checkout run by a third-party company like Klarna. They charge around 3% for payment processing, not 6% like PayPal, and also takes on all the risk and handles complaints. We would like to offer our users a no-hassle checkout, not forced like on Discogs. Anyone would still be able to accept cash in hand if they like that. But most people that sell a lot of records would save an enormous amount of time and hassle, so it would be worth the extra cost. We would also add maybe 1 to 2% on this checkout fee, so the total fee of using the checkout would be around 4 to 5%, a third of what Discogs plus PayPal costs today. This way anyone can avoid fees totally, but for professional sellers, paying a 5% fee would be a no-brainer. So how do we start? First, I need talented people. I have developed websites since I was a kid in the 90s, but my PHP skills are rusty and I know almost nothing about APIs or web scraping. So I need someone who knows PHP, MySQL, and IPA. I will not be able to offer a salary, but rather a part in the company once it turns profitable. If no one steps up, I will need to hire someone. That would cost around 7,000 in salary each month to hire someone in Sweden with that skill set. I can't cover that myself, but Patreon is a good way to get the monthly cost taken care of. And that would also give us a chance to be transparent and show off the project. A monthly minimum fee of just $1 to make sure as many people as possible could be able to show support and follow the project. Now I run a small business in Sweden and I'm burned out, so I can't do this alone. If you think this sounds promising, then please spread the word. Once the channel has 1,000 followers, I will do a Patreon. But it would be free until I actually have any cost associated with this project. I would also like a good sounding name, so please comment your best ones below. For now, use the hashtag #BetterThanDiscogs when talking about this project.